Hi, it's me again, and you join me once again from my car. It's Sunday morning, and I got a busy day today. Got to head over to my sister's new pub. I got to finish painting the ceiling, finish putting the vinyl covering on the bar, got sanding to do. So I got a busy day, so I won't be able to sit in front of my green screen again today. So I thought we could talk from the car, because this Gary Lineker thing, it ain't going away, is it? It's not going away. It's crazy. LBC again this morning. I just had it on for the first 20 minutes of this drive, and people phoning up saying they support Gary, they love Gary, and they're welcome to. You know, you're allowed to like who you want to like, right? But they're cancelling their licence fees because of it. And they were saying this yesterday on LBC, and LBC was saying then, the presenters on there, don't cancel your licence fees, it's illegal to do so, you'll get into trouble. The message has changed a little bit today. The one guy was just saying, I'm going to cancel my licence fee, and the presenter went to say, don't do that, it's very illegal, but then corrected himself because he happened to be speaking to a caller who was educated. And he said, as long as you don't watch anything that's being broadcast or access BBC services, which is still technically wrong, but it's better, right? You don't need to pay the licence fee. So that was quite good. That's quite a good message. And I think a lot of licences are getting cancelled over this out of protest for Gary Lineker, which I find interesting, because one of the headlines I saw today is that people want Tim Davie to lose his job. Has Tim done it? I mean, Tim's done some wrong stuff, hasn't he? I mean, he's said some stuff he shouldn't have said, and I think he might be, personally, I think he might be out of his depth in that job. I don't think he's qualified for that job. You know, 3.7 billion quid a year he's in charge of at a huge media organisation, and he still can't plug a £300 million black hole in financing. That, to me, says he's not the man for the job. But is he going to lose his job over this? Then there's calls for Richard Sharp. Well, there was calls for Richard Sharp to lose his job anyway, wasn't there? But there's more calls for Richard Sharp to lose his job now. So this could really take down the BBC. A lot of callers on LBC were saying this could really take down the entire BBC and call in to question the licence fee once and for all. And with the charter renewal in 2027, it's interesting. This is like the biggest TV licence news we've had for a very, very long time, and it's all caused by Gary Lineker, someone on this channel who we spend half the time slagging off. But he could win us the fight. It's crazy, isn't it? It does make me laugh that it's all down to Gary Lineker. I find that quite funny. Well, match of the day last night, I did say I was going to try and watch it because I was in my sister's pub, which has a telly licence, so I was going to try and watch it. But sadly, I was up a ladder painting a ceiling that I'd been filling cracks in all day. Didn't get around to it. I didn't leave there till like 10:30, 11, I think, painting and that. Nightmare. And because it's not trading at the moment, there was no beer in the place. So I do all this work completely lagerless. It's unnecessary. Unnecessary, really. But I did read that it had its highest ratings for a very long time. Highest ratings of Match of the Day for a very long time with no presenter. BBC should like that, I would imagine, because another headline I saw is that broadcasters will be queuing up to employ Gary Lineker. Queuing up for him. They reckon he can triple his salary, Gary Lineker, to go to BT Sport, who are revamping their coverage of stuff because they've got loads of matches going on BT Sport, and he's owned by Warner or something now, so they got big money. ITV want to sign him. It's interesting, right? That's interesting. Because they reckon, I was listening to Legal Hour last night on LBC. I'm driving a lot at the minute, and I had it on in the pub as well. And there was a barrister on there, and someone obviously phoned in about Gary Lineker, right? So they were talking about it, and they believe, we don't know for a fact, that he's halfway through a 2-year contract, so he's got a year to run. And they were saying, could Gary sue the BBC for unfair dismissal or anything like that? And this guy was saying, well, Gary Lineker trades as a limited company with the BBC, and he's got a bit of a tax issue at the moment over the IR35 thing. And if he says he's an employee, he could be liable for 4 million quid's worth of tax. And the maximum payout you can get for unfair dismissal, apparently, this is what he said, was £95,000. So why would Gary Lineker say he's an employee, and then put himself liable for a possible tax bill of 4 million quid just to win 95 from the BBC. And the BBC don't have to put him on air. He knows a bit about media contracts. And this barrister reckoned that in media contracts, there's a clause that says they don't have to put you on air, even if it's your show, even if the show's named after you. They don't have to put you on the air. But they still have to pay you, but you don't have to be on the air. So the BBC could have him see out his contract not broadcasting, or they could end his contract early at a fee. It's interesting. He's probably going to come out of it with a few quid and come out of it with a new contract as well, with another broadcaster by the looks of it. But what is this going to do to the BBC? I think it's really interesting at the moment. Being in this sphere and talking about the TV licence and the BBC for a very long time now, this is a very interesting time for it. I said, watch out, didn't I, at the beginning of the year? I said, watch out, this is going to be an interesting year this year. We had a good year last year. Loads of things happened. I mean, nothing actually, but a lot of things were talked about, didn't they? So watch out this year, because this is the last year, really, to have the debate about the TV licence before we can't really do anything about the charter. Because in 2024, and the charter's due for renewal in 2027, right? So if we said any time after this year, you've got to go commercial, or you've got to whatever, you're not getting any more TV licence fees, stand on your own 2 feet. The BBC could say, 2 years, we haven't got time to get everything implemented in 2 years. It's not possible. So they would get another extension. So I think this year, this is the last year that we've got really to have anything happen. And could this be the thing that brings down the licence fee? Gary Lineker, who knew? He'd be a hero to me if that happened. I would laugh. So the headline said that the BBC had a jump of 500,000 views on Match of the Day last night. Now obviously that wouldn't last, would it? That's just people being interested as to how the BBC are going to cover it. But will it prove to the BBC that they don't need him? And saying that he can go off to another broadcaster like BT Sport or something, he has worked for BT Sport before, hasn't he? So if he goes off to BT Sport, he could triple his salary. So he's on 1.3. I'm no mathematician, but isn't that 3.9 million quid? Is that what a sports broadcaster could earn? I'm in the wrong job. 3.9 million quid. Madness. I'm driving around with 1 bar left on my petrol, and he can possibly get 3.9 million quid for talking about football. Good for him, if he can get it. Let's say I don't have anything personally against the man. I don't particularly like him, but I'm not going to personally attack him because I'm indifferent towards him, as I said. But my issue has always been that he earns he's the highest paid BBC employee, the highest paid, and I just don't understand how he gets paid that much of your TV licence fees. It's over 8,000 households to pay Gary Lineker's salary. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Also, the possibility that this could bring down Tim Davie, I find interesting. Again, with Tim Davie, I've heard him talk, and if he wasn't head of the BBC, you know, he's the kind of guy I could probably get on with, the way he talks. He's not too pompous or anything, is he? Well, no more than his job requires, anyway. But is he, like that, I run over something, not happy about that. Is he out of his depth? Because 3.7 billion quid a year comes in from TV licences. 1.1 billion a year, is it, comes in from BBC Studios, which he was head of before. He's not head of BBC Studios now, but before he had this job, he was head of BBC Studios. There's a £300 million black hole in the BBC's finances. They've just appointed a head of orchestras. That would have come from him. He would have had to sign off on that. All these new commissioners that we talked about on this channel, he must have signed off on. Is he out of his depth? If you can't manage 3.7 billion quid, there are countries, I've said it a million times, haven't I? Think there's GDP lists on Wikipedia, so make of it what you will, obviously, but there's GDP lists on Wikipedia of countries with the GDP of less than that who build infrastructure, roads, have schools, water purification, weather modification if you're into that sort of thing. You know, all these things on 3.7 billion quid a year. And he can't run some TV stations, a website and some radio stations on it. I don't get it. I don't get how that works. So yeah, I didn't really have anything that interesting to talk about with you today. I find this whole situation we've got at the moment to be fascinating. Because this is the most action we've had in the BBC TV licensing community for a while, isn't it? It's interesting. I'll pop in here, treat the workers who are painting. Don't judge me.
Okay, order.
Yeah, can I have 4 double cheeseburgers, please?
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Drive round with these.
Thanks, mate. They're not all for me.
Hi, can
Yeah,
I
mate.
just park up and bring the food out to you?
Where?
At the top of the car park, there's a couple of spaces.
Yeah, I hate having to wait for me food. It's going to take ages now, innit? I've got a busy day today. So as I said, yeah, going back over to my sister's pub. Because I'm not just a pretty face, you know, I can do DIY stuff. So I was filling in some cracks in the ceiling yesterday. And then I had to paint the ceiling. And the bar was a bit rough. It's an old sort of clubhouse. It's a weird little building, it's old. And but it's cheap. So we got a bit of work to do on that. I was trying to paint like the front of the bar, but it just didn't come out very nice. So I went and got some quite thick vinyl with like a wood effect. Some wood effect to cover the front, and that come out quite nice. I'll try and put some pictures over because it looks quite good, I think. And then I've got to sand the top helmet bit at the top of the bar and get some blackboard paint. I've got to go to Wicks in a minute, get some blackboard paint to do that, and then finish sanding the shelves behind the bar so I can paint those white. So that's my day today, so that's why I won't be able to do the whole green screeny thing. She walked past me with a bag of burgers. I was hoping they were for me. They're obviously not. But yeah, let me know what you think about all this, because it is interesting at the minute, isn't it? Really interesting what's going on at the minute. Could Gary Lineker bring down the BBC? That to me is interesting. So yeah, let me know what you think about it all. It is interesting a minute. It's changing every day. It's changing every day because more and more people are standing out again with Lineker, aren't they? Because you had the presenter of Match of the Day 2, which I didn't even know existed, didn't work and isn't working. Wasn't there a few people from Radio 5 Live or something wasn't working as well? Ian Wright said he's not working until this is resolved. No, Lineker could be the one that brings down the BBC licence fee once and for all. And I tell you what, if you told me that 6 months ago, I'd have laughed at you. Now it's bloody interesting. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think this could be the thing that really brings down the licence fee? It might not bring down the BBC, but it might bring down the licence fee. Will it bring down Tim Davie? It's another interesting thing. I think he should go. I don't know. I've got nothing against the man, but I don't know. He just seems out of his depth if you can't manage that money, as I said. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because that way, hopefully, I'll see you in another video again soon. Ta-da!